Hello and welcome again to Seekers of Meaning, the podcast TV arm of Jewish Sacred Aging. I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Address. Thank you very, very much for joining us in what I promise you will be a very, very interesting and enlightening conversation, because we're gonna go a little bit different today. We are very, very pleased to welcome Rabbi Mark Novak to Seekers of Meaning today. He is the founder and the spiritual leader of MOSH, M-O-S-H, which is a very, very unique religious enterprise. I'm going to let him explain it to you. Rabbi Mark, nice to see you. Nice to see you. Thank you very much, Mark, for joining us. And first of all, I hope you're well. Listen, what's MOSH?
What a good question to start off with. Thanks, Richard. But before I answer your question, I want to thank you for having me on.
No, our pleasure. Our pleasure.
This is a nice opportunity to talk about my work, and for us to hopefully talk a little bit about baseball, which we both are fanatics of. What is MOSH? MOSH is an acronym, first of all, for Minyan Oneg Shabbat. And what MOSH was and what MOSH is at its present time are two different questions. So first of all, Minyan Oneg Shabbat is a spiritual community that I started, or somewhere around 2012, 2013. I received smicha, ordination from Rabbi Zalman Schachter Shalomi of blessed memory in 2012. Shortly after which I started this community here in Washington, D.C., which met twice a month. On Shabbat morning. And on one Shabbat morning, we would have a quote unquote traditional Jewish renewal service, which basically means it could be almost anything, given my love of Torah, as well as popular music and also of Rumi and Hafiz. So it's a combination of all those things. So we met maybe 10 to 20 people for those two sessions, and then COVID hit. When COVID hit, I, like many, Aleph, the Jewish Renewal umbrella organization, students we used to working online, either on Skype or on Zoom. I said, let's go online, and we'll invite people to come join us. And that's what we did, thinking, it would be 2 weeks, 3 weeks. 5.5 years later, what happened over the course of that time was that people responded. They joined me. We co-created what has become a rich, intimate, joyous spiritual community without the brick and mortar. We have people from all over the world that join us.
So MOSH meets every Shabbat morning?
Every Shabbat morning and several other times during the week as well.
So it's just Shabbos morning, Erev Shabbat?
We don't meet Erev Shabbat. We meet every Shabbos morning since COVID, which is one of the reasons why we've grown in numbers. And so, because you really can't build anything unless there's a regularity to it. But now we also meet every Wednesday at noon for meditation, every Wednesday night for some kind of a teaching. And since October 7th, we'd be meeting twice a week for a prayerful gathering to hold each other and to hold the hostages in our prayers as well.
Okay, so just to make sure that some people may want to, be involved, this meets Eastern. You're in Washington, so it's Eastern time. What time do you begin?
We start on Shabbos morning at 10 a.m.
Eastern time.
Eastern time, and believe it or not, we have a number of people who join us from California.
So if somebody says, this sounds like something I would be interested in trying out, how do they access MOSH?
So they have to be on our mailing list to receive the links and all the information, which you can find at MOSHDC, MOSHDC.org, and get on our mailing list. And if it resonates for you when you come and join us, then stay on the list and continue to be with us.
Okay, Mark. So one of the other words that I've had, and I know some of the people, some friends of mine who are very involved with MOSH.
Yeah.
And you use the word Zoom-agogue, which is a great word. So What's a Zoom-agogue other than it sounds like one of these Marvel comic movies that are out now with here comes the Zoom-agogue
I,
walking like
Richie, I'm waiting for Marvel to pick it up
oh,
because then financial issues will not be.
okay, not so there's the methods of the madness. I understand that. But what
Well, we went on Zoom and
okay.
full time, and so we were naturally a Zoom-agogue. And as a matter of fact, a number of other communities use that word.
Oh, you're
Um,
okay.
yeah, Rabbi David Ingber at Romamu has used it, and others on occasion. But most of the others who are using it are hybrid. In other words, they're
Right.
sharing their live, services with people online, but we are only on Zoom. We don't stream. In that way, we have created a very intimate community who share their personal Torah with each other, and who participate in the most amazing ways. It's almost impossible to explain. It's like going to Paris until you come and really witness for yourself what we've created here over the course of the past 5.5 years.
So I got to ask you, because this comes up all the time. I'm sure you've had this question asked you a million times. Um, you just said we created this community. Someone's going to say, well, that's lovely, but how can you create a community online when you're just looking at people in a little box on a machine? And it's not really like sitting next to Joe or Shirley in the shul. And, how do, some of us maintain that in truth, this electronic revolution has created, and certainly our grandchildren and kids understand this better than at least my generation. Explain to us, how do you understand this new community? You are creating a community, correct?
We have created a community. Absolutely.
So talk to me about how you define now or broaden this definition of community without people sitting next to each other every Shabbos morning.
Yeah, great question. Now, first of all, when we started online, I sensed two things that people needed the most, which was to be seen and to be heard. That is how we have created a community, by giving people the space, by creating a container within which people can share their personal Torah as reflected in the Parsha HaShavua, in the Torah portion of the week, in the sacred text, for instance. We're coming at this from a psycho-spiritual, neo-Hasidic point of view, right? That Torah is alive, that it's happening in real time, and that all of the archetypes in our sacred story live in us. All that said, my wife, Renee Brockfeld, a storyteller and a partner in crime in the creating of all of this, she likes the Zoom application better than being in shul. Why? Because you can see everybody's faces, as opposed to sitting behind. That's one reason. Yes, we can't sing together. When that's figured out, that'll be a mechaya.
But you do sing. But
I sing.
You do a lot of, and people, because I did attend one, people will sing with you, albeit depending upon their computer and their sound system. It's not like
they will sing in the privacy and in the muteness of their Zoom room.
Right.
So if I sing, Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov mishkanotecha Yisrael, you can hear the piano, you can hear me. If I pick up my guitar, the same is also true. And people need music. To be swept up. Music is a portal to the divine, one of those things. I want to get back to your question about how to create community. You create community by giving people the opportunity to share their stories. In lieu of a Torah reading, we create every week 2 prompts based upon the Torah reading. Those prompts always start with the word share. Like, share a time in your life when you wish you had talked to the rock instead of hitting the rock, per se. Dealing with, in this case, issues of anger and how that has perhaps been a default mechanism for some of us or not. Then, once given the prompts, that week's we call it not breakout rooms, but breakthrough rooms. That week's breakthrough room storyteller shares their response to the prompts, modeling a response before they're revealed to the community. Then the community gets the prompts and are put into breakthrough rooms, 3 and 4 people. And there are very, very strict guidelines. It's not a conversation. There's no giving of advice, just holy listening. You know, us Jews, we like to talk, but it's Shema Yisrael, right? We are instructed, we are invited to listen. And so that's what we have created, a community of holy listeners, of holy storytellers, and many of our people in our community, we don't have membership, are non-Jews who have found a spiritual community with us. One is a Methodist minister and his wife. And so people have found something that resonates very deeply, that is about their lives and the intersection of spiritual text and all that we have been given as a gift in our heritage.
So if you just alluded to something, I'm sure some people listening or watching, his ears may have perked up. If there's no membership, who funds this? I mean, unless you do this for nothing.
Well, that was before COVID.
Right. But seriously, I mean, this is a legitimate question, and especially in this day and age.
And an important question, because I have to earn parnasa.
Yeah.
And first of all, I start off that I have dropped all my other work. I had a band, a very successful wedding band for 30 years. I retired the band. I used to be part of the Aleph faculty for spiritual direction. I had to let that go. Why? Because this would become a full-time job with full-time parnasa, full-time income. There's no membership fee. You come, you're a moshnik. People give as free will offerings. And as you very well know, as a former rabbi of a community, 20% of the people give 80% of the money, and those people tend to be very, very generous. And so I'm earning a living as a full-time rabbi without having to leave my house. Now, that has its drawbacks as well. But it has its advantages in that I've got all of these wonderful hardware and software at my disposal, at my fingertips.
So again, a rabbinical question. You meet online Wednesdays, Shabbos mornings, do some teaching, meditation. What about the issue of pastoral counseling? Suppose somebody who comes to MOSH every Shabbos morning, not affiliated with a congregation, let's say let's just say they live in Santa Fe, New Mexico, but they're going through an issue. Do they call you up, or was it email?
Absolutely.
Okay, so this is part of the community, to use that word.
Absolutely, which is why it's a full-time job. It's not a full-time job with Shabbos morning only. Yesterday, I was laughing because you said Santa Fe. I reached out to someone yesterday whose mother died.
Yeah.
Reaching out to her, she lives in Santa Fe, right? And she needed some advice about how to proceed during this period of time between death and burial, and through the whole grieving process. And she reached out to me. I reached out to her. That's how it works. Absolutely.
So, Mark, have you been called on to say, "You're my rabbi, Rabbi Mark, and my mom died. Can you come to Knoxville and do the funeral?" Do you get that request?
No. Because people understand that I'm not coming to Knoxville.
Okay.
Right. First of all, I might say, ask them what relationship, if any, would they have with a local rabbi. Remember that many people in our community, they not only come to us, but they have a relationship with the local Jewish community as well. So they come to us for their fix of Jewish renewal. For those who come to us exclusively, they're going to reach out to me for advice of how to go about exactly in this scenario, from the moment of death, or even before that, of dealing with all the same issues that you talk about in sacred aging, either for our own, personal place, or at how we deal with it all in relationship to others. So, yes, all the time. Plus, we have an invitation we email blasts of, do you need spiritual counseling? We have a number of chaplains who are active, moshniks, and they offer with no charge to meet with people. It's a caring community, a giving community, a generous community, a joyous community, a contemplative community. How we pulled this off online, I have a picture of Reb Zalman to my left here, that he's always smiling on me, because Reb Zalman was a great lover and initiator in the use of technology in his work. And I think he's getting a lot of nachas from what we've created here.
I'm knowing him a little bit when he was in his Philadelphia days. Yes, I'm sure. But that's another story for really another time.
Right.
But here's another question. I'm sure somebody may be watching this or listening to this and they have a kid. Now, what about, and I said, this is a basic question. You do this online every Shabbos morning. Okay, here's my son. Can you train him to be a bar mitzvah, to be called, and we'll do it online? Do you do that? Do you do that?
Some people do that, but I don't.
Okay.
First of all, most of my community are Alta Kakas, although I like to call them Alta Rebbes.
Be careful. Be careful.
I know. But we're older, we're between 50 and 80. And like I said, I like to call us Alta Rebbes because we are all teachers of Torah in our own way. Absolutely. And we're elders in that. And so we don't really have any young people in our community. So if someone came to me, I used to do that locally, do some bar mitzvah work, but I don't do, that's one of the things I had to let go of. So no, we don't have a Hebrew school or religious school. People with families, they need community, and kids need to be with other kids. They're not going to get that from us.
It's a different. So this is we're posting this at the beginning of September. Rumor has it that Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur are coming soon. That's what I hear. Now, do you do Shabbos now? What about the holidays and significant holidays? Does MOSH meet Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur?
Oh, like I said, we are without brick and mortar, but we meet for Yamim Noraim, or the Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. We meet for all of the festivals on the last day for for davening, but also for Yizkor.
Yeah.
And with that, we create. I have a Siddur that's in its third iteration, and we have our own Machzor as well. That we use. All of this in answer to the question that I was hoping you were asked, and you did. That is right here, Richie. So look up your screen. We had these made up. They're little pins that people took to Kala, the Jewish biennial Jewish conference or summer camp for adults, and they wore this.
Okay, but so you have your own machzor, you meet for Yom Tov, etc., etc. We're speaking with Rabbi Mark Novak, the founder and spiritual head of MOSH, a Zoom-agogue, an online synagogue, representative of really, in many ways, part of the creativity that's existing right now ritually within the American Jewish community. And the website is MOSH, MOSHDC.org, in case you want to connect with Mark and learn some more. This is a very unique enterprise. Why? Your background is from the stage, if I'm not mistaken, from when we talked before. Now you're leading a synagogue. That's an interesting jump. Was there an aha moment in your life which you said that this is something that I'm being called to do? What was your journey that brought you to do this?
As a youngster, I sang in a choir, and I hope this comes through. Can you see that one, Richie?
Tell everybody where that is. It's great.
So this is a Grossinger's Country Club, as you would say, Alav Shalom. Sam Sterner of blessed memory is the choir leader, and there's the arrow is pointing to me, singing with the Sam Sterner choir. And my father, actually, Adolf Novak of blessed memory, is in the back row. And so,
oh wow.
He's like third from the upper right, singing in the bass section. So that was the beginning of my love of Jewish music. But over a period of a number of years, going in my teenage and then through college, I had nothing to do with my Judaism and more to do with theater. I was an Oliver on Broadway as a kid. And there's a whole story behind that, because it's a story that's directly related to me being in the choir. And then I moved to Washington, D.C. in 1977 to join a theater company called Living Stage, which was the community outreach company of Arena Stage. It was at Living Stage that I now realize I became an Eved Hashem, a servant of God, because our mission was to create environments in which people, forgotten people, men and women in prison, disabled people, kids, older adults, could experience their beauty, their genius as creators, as artists. Now, looking back on it, we were expected as artists to give of ourselves to the populations that we served. And that is where I learned many of the skills that I have, including how to use myself improvisationally in any settings, which is very useful for a rabbi.
Yes, it is.
Right. And be able to listen really closely, and not just to hear what people say, but to hear people's yearnings and hear people's needs. I left that company like mid to late 1980s to venture out on my own. I did a lot of work in theater, but also I rediscovered my Jewish musical roots in singing with and playing music with a couple of local bands here in Washington, D.C., including David Schneier, who's an angel in my life, the Farbrengen Fiddlers, and Robin Helsner, who's a Jewish folk singer. And all of a sudden, my Jewish neshama is rekindled. And I invited by David to, I wasn't earning much of a living, in theater. You're lucky if you can earn a living. And David offered to teach me a little chazunas, saying that, you can earn a couple of bucks. And so that Rosh Hashanah, I was given opportunity to serve as a chazan sheni, the second rabbi at a local synagogue. I began studying all the things that I was being pulled to, in different ways. And then in the early 90s, I applied to the Reconstructionist Rabbinical College. I was accepted. It wasn't time to go. Instead, I created my own band, which was the bulk of my living for the next 20, 25 years. But then I also met Renee Brockfeld, my now wife. And we were invited as scholars in residence at over 170 synagogues around the country to serve as what we called then artists in residence. But we changed it to scholars in residence. Of course, synagogues don't have a line item for artists in residence. And we brought the art of storytelling to people, most importantly, to create community, to create environments in which people can share their stories. We have had so many people telling us after our workshops, I was at Oneg sharing gefilte fish with this guy for 30 years. I never knew him. Until now, what his concerns were, what his dreams were, what tickled him, what brought him joy. So it was from there I studied. I entered the Aleph rabbinic program around 2005-ish, somewhere around there. And at that time, I was already in my 50s. I said to my wife, Renee, what do you think? Should I do the program? She said, Mark, you've been wanting, to have us go into a disciplined to study in a disciplined way for so long. And I said, yeah, but I won't graduate. I won't get smicha until I'm 60. And Renee gave me the aha moment when she said, Mark, you're going to be 60 anyway. Right. You might as well be 60 and a rabbi. And so here I am.
No, it's just fascinating to me the way the individuals' journeys, people's journeys to their Jewish identity as there's so many different ways, and it goes to a lot of it, just pastoral counseling work that we do, and the background and what people's, as you were talking about, yearning for, that sometimes is repressed throughout their entire life, but all of a sudden something happens in that it flowers, and you cannot deny it. You cannot deny it, or else you get sick. You get sick, and just the joy that you bring, obviously, to your community and the success of it, which leads me to a question. Do you see, Mark, what you're doing and MOSH as as endemic or a representation of a brand new type of American Judaism? Or do you think it just fits into the historical process of Judaism, which is always adapted to new situations and innovated? So do you see yourself as a revolutionary or just part of this ongoing chain of history and adaptation?
Well, first, I don't see myself as a revolutionary, maybe an adapter. I think the answer to your question is yes. And
It's a good rabbinic answer.
yeah, I was hoping you would say that.
How do you feel about how you feel?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, ask me 5 minutes from now and I'll have a third answer to the question.
Absolutely.
Which is, yes, we have innovated using the technology that we've been so lucky to have. Without Zoom, this doesn't exist.
No, I know.
Right. Matter of fact, this podcast doesn't exist without the technology. I'll tell you, I don't know the shelf life of my community. Right now, I'm in the process of finding younger leaders who can step in when I'm not available, but hopefully to take over when must speak. I need more time off. I've rarely taken a Shabbat off over the last 5.5 years. And so I'm looking for younger people who share the same values and the same creative impulses that I have to invite people into an experiment, really. And like you say, we've been experimenting ever since the fall of the Second Temple, have we not? Rabbinic Judaism rise out of biblical Judaism, and we constantly recreate ourselves. So if I can find leaders who play a musical instrument, or at the very least, come to this with joy and are Torah-filled and God immersed. When I say God, that's a whole, we use the G word. We're not going to go there right now, what that's all about. I would love nothing more than to pass on the knowledge of what I've learned over the past 5.5 years to other leaders who would like to build a community of their own around them and with other people, given the specific skill set and love of Torah that they have, which is going to be possibly different than mine, because we're all unique in what we have to offer, of course. So I would love to teach people how to use all the apparatus, that I have. And here, I'll share with you a photograph. I hope this comes through, of what I look like, when I'm in my Zoom-agogue, which is right here. But you can tell I'm there. I got my guitar, I got my keyboard, I've got hardware, I've got software. And when I'm in the Zoom-agogue, I'm also seeing every single one of the 50 screens of people, because we get 50 to 60 people every Shabbos morning. I know there are other people who are capable of thriving using this kind of technology, who are not yet doing so. So I think it'll complement what we have come to, where we have come to in this day with the brick and mortar synagogues that we know, keeping in mind too that so many rabbis are not going into synagogue work these days, but rather Jewish communal work of different kinds, right, of healing and social work.
Very different. It's very different.
Very, very different. And this is one of the tools at our disposal that I would love to share, again, what I've learned with other people.
Before we start running out of time, one easy question. Given this experience of the last 5.5 years, what have you learned?
I'll tell you what I've relearned. I've relearned how to breathe deeply into presence. I relearned that love is the guiding principle of the universe. I've relearned that we all have allies who share our deep yearning for peace and wholeness. And I've relearned that there is so much still to be learned.
Rabbi Mark Novak, founder and spiritual head of MOSH. Again, MOSHDC.org. You going to play us out?
I am.
Going to play us out? Thank you, Mark, and continued good luck. Shana Tova, stay healthy, stay happy, and what are you gonna play us out with?
This song is the second half of a song that came to me during the parsha where we read Va'avraham Zakein Ba Bayamim, and Abraham grew old in his days, and that he was blessed by Yud-Heh Vav-Heh and everything, Bakol. May we be blessed, blessed in all things, blessed. May we be blessed in all things. May we be blessed to leave this world better than we found it. May our prayers be answered and loving kindness surround us. And as we offer our blessings, may we be blessed with joy and renewal, a few moments to rest. May you be blessed, blessed in all things. Blessed, may you be blessed in all things. May the angels dance and the mountains ring. May your life be a blessing. May you be blessed in all things. May the angels dance and the mountains ring. May your life be a blessing. May you be blessed in all things. May your life be a blessing. May you be blessed in all things.
Amen to that. To all of you, thank you very, very much for joining us. We appreciate your coming and spending your time with us. Keep in touch. A big thank you to our producer, Steve Lubetkin, where these programs are recorded at the studios of Lubetkin Media in Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Till we meet again, I'm your host, Rabbi Richard Address. Take care, stay safe, be well, but most of all, be kind to one another. Shalom.
Amen.